Tonight, a monster storm takes aim at the East Coast. Millions under blizzard warnings. The blockbuster nor'easter strengthening fast.
I'm Chanel Call, the nation's busiest city, bracing for impact.
I'm Jason Allen at Boston's Logan Airport. Thousands of flights canceled, the trouble rippling nationwide, all of it made worse with an unwelcome government surprise at security.
Also tonight, violence erupts in Mexico. Americans there warned to shelter in place after a cartel leader is killed. A deadly scene at President Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort.
They confronted a white male that was carrying a gas can and a shotgun.
In Iran, new anti-government protests with U.S. firepower assembling nearby.
I'm Charlie Daggett in Tel Aviv. Iran is searching for a diplomatic solution while the United States is ramping up the military pressure.
Explosions rock Ukraine with no peace with Russia in sight.
I'm Holly Williams in Kyiv. In 2 days' time, it'll be exactly 4 years since Vladimir Putin launched his invasion. This is a memorial to Ukraine's fallen soldiers.
All that plus a battle for the ages. 46 years to the day after the Miracle on Ice, a new team captures America's heart.
I'm Kelly O'Grady in Milan, Italy. The Winter Games ended with a golden win. I'll have the latest on Team USA's big win.
This is the CBS Weekend News from New York with Jerika Duncan.
Good evening. It is great to be with you on a busy Sunday. Jerika is off. I'm Tom Hansen. Tonight, more than 40 million people in the Northeast are under blizzard warnings from a dangerous, rapidly strengthening winter storm. This is the monster seen from space today. It's now moving up the coast, bringing snow, fierce winds, and flooding. States of emergency have been declared in several states. Cities are racing to get ready. The roads are already treacherous. The nation's largest city in the storm's bullseye. And CBS's Chanel Call is in New York City and leads us off. So, Chanel, how is it out there?
Well, Tom, it's really starting to come down hard right now. Anyone who's still out moving around the city is advised to get home and stay there.
If it comes to pass as is predicted, this will put this snowfall into the top 10 snowfall events in the history of New York City.
Facing an extraordinary storm, New York City is taking extraordinary measures, banning travel on the roads starting at 9 o'clock tonight.
Please, for your safety, stay home, stay inside, and stay off the roads.
Sanitation crews, 2,600 strong, are working 12-hour shifts for as long as necessary to keep up with as much as 2 feet of snow expected in some areas. There's even concern heavy wet snow could down power lines.
People will be in the dark. Long Island and New York City and Lower Hudson Valley are literally in the direct eye of the storm.
Lights Out arrived early for Broadway, with curtains dropping on all Sunday evening shows.
I'm 59 and never had a Broadway show be canceled because of weather.
Shoppers stocked up on snacks.
Popcorn, chocolate, and ice cream.
This is cute.
And kids are looking forward to a day off from school.
I get to play video games all day.
Conditions around the Atlantic City, New Jersey area deteriorated quickly on Sunday. This car spinning out on a slick roadway. Signs are up along parts of the eastern seaboard, warning of what's to come. And 100 members of the New York National Guard have now also been activated. They will be staged here in New York City, across Long Island, and in the lower Hudson Valley. Tom?
Chanel Call in the thick of it for us tonight. Chanel, thank you. And now to the path and impact of this massive nor'easter. CBS News meteorologist Andrew Kozak is in Philadelphia, tracking it all for us tonight. Andrew, good evening.
Good evening, Tom. Yeah, the snow is starting to ramp up tonight, and the winds, they're starting to kick up as well. In fact, over 40 million people tonight into your early Monday are under a blizzard warning for the major cities all across the eastern seaboard, from basically Maryland all the way up toward New York City and Boston. The snow continues to come down, and it's going to get heavier and steadier within the next couple of hours. That area of low pressure, it's going to bomb out. We've been using the term bombogenesis. 24 millibars in 24 hours hours of a pressure drop. It's going to happen in 6 to 12. And that just shows you how intense the snow and the wind is going to get. This will continue overnight and into Monday morning for places like New York City and Philadelphia, Boston through most of the day on Monday. And the blizzard component of this with winds 50 to 60, even up to 80 miles per hour for places like Nantucket could cause power outages overnight. When all is said and done, we're looking at anywhere between 10 and 20 inches. Tom, everybody needs to hunker down, stay inside tonight, and make sure your devices are charged.
Some good advice there, Andrew. Thank you. The storm is proving a disruptive force at airports across much of the Northeast. More than 8,000 flights have already been canceled through Monday, and those numbers are expected to get worse. CBS's Jason Allen is at Boston Logan Airport. So, Jason, what's it like there?
Well, Tom, the red cancellations, those have been adding up really by the minute. And so the few people who are still in line here tonight are realizing if they don't get on a flight tonight, it could be days before they go anywhere. Travelers trying to leave the East Coast before the storm were just as likely to end up in a long line to get rebooked as they were to make it to just about anywhere.
Minneapolis, and then Minneapolis to Atlanta, and then Atlanta to Jacksonville, but now there's been a misconnect, so I might be stranded in Minneapolis.
More than 80% of flights out of Boston for Monday are already canceled. The FAA warned of significant impacts in New York, Philadelphia, Washington, and as far south as Atlanta due to gusty winds. These two college students were trying to figure out how to get back to campus in South Carolina. So you've already been through a canceled flight,
yeah,
a standby flight that you're not going to get on,
yeah,
a flight for tomorrow you don't think will happen,
yeah,
trains that you don't think will run.
No, we can't even rent a car.
On top of the weather, airlines and travelers were blindsided by an overnight decision from Homeland Security to suspend the TSA PreCheck program because of the partial government shutdown.
I felt like I had a privilege and I paid for it. We showed up because we thought we had PreChecks and now we have to go wait in the regular line.
Airlines are already starting to cancel flights into Tuesday, and as we peek outside tonight, the snow not coming down in Boston yet, but is expected to start falling hard within the next couple of hours, Tom.
Plenty of headaches to come. Jason Allen, thank you for that. The mixed messaging at airports caught the attention of more than flyers. CBS's Willie James Inman is at the White House. So, Willie James, what happened here?
Tom, good evening to you. Well, those changes were quickly reversed amid pushback from the airline industry. One trade group leader saying travelers were being used as a political football during the partial government shutdown impacting DHS. All of this triggered by a showdown over Homeland Security funding. Democrats were demanding ICE agents not wear masks and show their identification. The shutdown now in its second week and no end in sight.
And Willie James, we also have developing news from Mexico. Violence erupted today after the government said it killed the nation's most wanted cartel boss. It happened in the coastal state of Jalisco. The man known as El Mencho was widely considered one of Mexico's most violent criminals. So what do you know about that?
Well, Tom, a defense official tells CBS News a Pentagon task force played a supporting role, but emphasized it was a Mexican government operation. That task force, which works to counter cartels, has shared intelligence with the Mexican military in the past. Amid sporadic violence, multiple airlines have canceled flights to Puerto Vallarta today, and at least one turned around amid the unrest. It's unclear when operations will restart. We spoke to a passenger who arrived in Houston on the last flight out of the resort area and described the mayhem at the airport.
They closed the door and they start hear the people yelling and screaming and they're running everywhere. I feel safe now, but I'm still shaking because I can't believe this has happened to us. I never thinking one thing like this is going to happen. But we're safe, we're home, we're back.
The State Department is closely monitoring the situation, Tom, and the U.S. Embassy in Mexico is telling Americans to shelter in place due to criminal activity in several Mexican states.
All right, Willie James Inman for us tonight at the White House. Willie James, thank you. A deadly encounter at President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate early this morning. The Secret Service shot and killed an armed man who drove into the estate's secure perimeter. He's identified as a 21-year-old from North Carolina. The president and first lady were safe. They were in Washington this weekend. Tonight, the United States stands at the brink of a major conflict in the Middle East. This weekend, new anti-government protests erupted at 2 universities in Iran as the regime grapples with domestic discontent and the threat of U.S. strikes. CBS's Charlie D'Agata is in Tel Aviv with new reporting. So, Charlie, what can you tell us?
Good evening, Tom. Iran's foreign minister is still pushing for a diplomatic solution to the rising tensions in the region as the United States floods this region with the kind of American firepower not seen here in the Middle East since the invasion of Iraq in 2003. Firepower like the USS Ford aircraft carrier, almost within striking distance in the Mediterranean Sea. Heavy lift transport planes taking off from the UK, and F-35 stealth fighter jets filmed on a runway on the Greek island of Crete. Iran is on a full court press trying to talk America out of an all-out war.
Thank you so much for having me.
Iran's foreign minister spoke with Face the Nation's Margaret Brennan.
Right now we are negotiating only nuclear, and there is no other subject.
But Iran also has one of the largest arsenals of ballistic missiles in the region. Israeli intelligence sources we spoke with confirmed stockpiles are back to the same levels seen before Israel and the U.S. launched attacks last June.
And now we are even in a better situation than previous war. So, as a matter of fact, we are in a powerful position to defend ourselves.
Israel and many U.S. bases are within missile range. And President Trump is growing increasingly impatient with the Iranian regime, says Special Envoy Steve Witkoff.
He's curious as to why they haven't, I don't want to use the word capitulated, but why they haven't capitulated.
Witkoff and his team are now scheduled to meet with the Iranian delegation in Geneva on Thursday. And on Saturday, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is scheduled to come here to Israel. That diplomatic timeline doesn't rule out military action, Tom. When the U.S. bombed Iran last June, President Trump gave Iran a 14-day window to comply to demands, then bombed 3 days later.
All right, Charlie D'Agata with the news out of the Middle East. Charlie, thank you. And now to the war in Ukraine. Today, Russia fired scores of missiles and drones at targets across the country. The capital, Kyiv, and the Black Sea port of Odessa, hardest hit. CBS's Holly Williams in Kyiv for us tonight as the war marks a major milestone this week. So, Holly, good evening to you.
Good evening, Tom. Ukraine says Russia launched nearly 50 missiles and 297 drones overnight. Like many people here, we spent the early hours of this morning in a bomb shelter.
The Russian strikes nearly always come at night here in Ukraine. Early this morning in Kyiv, they were still putting out the fires in this residential neighborhood, where at least one person was killed. Yet even at Ukraine's darkest hour, there are moments of joy. This month, 157 Ukrainian captives, many of them soldiers, were released by Russia in a prisoner swap. This man got through to his mother on the phone and told her everything is wonderful. But 4 years of war have left deep scars. At this mental health clinic, they treat former prisoners of war who were traumatized by what they experienced in Russian captivity. Vladislav Chuhuyenko is an officer in Ukraine's military and was released last summer after nearly 3.5 years as a prisoner. He told us he was beaten every day in the first year and tortured with electric shocks to his hands, feet, ears, and genitals.
How did you survive that?
I had subordinates for whom I was an example. He told us if I broke, they would also break. His twin brother Stanislav is still being held by Russia. Chuhuyenko told us now he's fighting to get his brother home safely.
Nearly 4 years into this war, Russia now controls around 20% of Ukraine's territory. But Tom, this past week, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said that his country's forces have recently clawed back over 100 square miles.
Holly Williams on the ground for us in Kyiv tonight. Holly, thank you. Okay, straight ahead, why thousands of college students pulled an all-nighter this weekend, and they were not studying. But first, this story.
I'm Kelly O'Grady in Milan, Italy. It wasn't a miracle, but it was a battle. Team USA celebrates its big win next on the CBS Weekend News.
Well, tonight the United States stands on top of hockey's Golden Mountain, finally. The 2-1 overtime victory wasn't a miracle, but it was thrilling. A game played by NHL stars on both sides, some of them teammates now in rival uniforms. For Canada, where hockey was born, this defeat cuts deep. For them, it's more than a game, but for the U.S., it is victory at last. And CBS's Kelly O'Grady in Milan was in the arena for it all. Kelly, good evening.
Good evening, Tom. Well, the men's hockey team won their new hardware in sudden death overtime. It was the 8th time that the U.S. has faced Canada in the gold medal game and only their 2nd time beating them. But oh, was it one for the history books. USA! It was a golden night for American fans and the U.S. men's hockey team, who bested their biggest rival, Canada. Incredible. Like, shaking still.
It was so electric. And I'll tell you what, the Canadians came out. There was more Canadians in that stadium than U.S. people, which makes it even sweeter.
The victory nearly 50 years after Team USA won gold in the Miracle on Ice Lake Placid Games.
The goal was to come here and win the gold medal, and we did that.
The Canadians had plenty of opportunities, outshooting the Americans 42-28, but U.S. goalie Connor Hellebuck was nearly flawless. And after 60 minutes of play, the score tied 1-1. Then, in sudden death overtime, played 3-on-3, 24-year-old Jack Hughes found the back of the net, scoring the golden goal.
Overtime, anything can happen. I mean, they have very skilled players. We have very skilled players. It's just up and down the rink, you know, kind of like a little grudge match.
Hughes didn't come out unscathed. In the 3rd period, he took a high stick to the face from Canada's Sam Bennett and chipped some teeth.
My first thought was I looked down the ice and saw my teeth. I was like, here we go again.
This is the first time, Tom, that both American men and women are Olympic champions together. And remember, this is the first time since 2014 that National Hockey League players are competing in the Olympics. They will now rush home to their respective teams, and many Americans and Canadians will play side by side.
All right, Kelly, thank you. Here's a look at the final medal count. 93 countries competed across 16 disciplines. Norway finished on top in both gold and total medals. The U.S. was 2nd, its best showing at a Winter Games. Go Team USA. All right, still ahead on the CBS Weekend News, a passionate student body that loves to dance. Nearly 17,000 students at Penn State University pulled an all-nighter this weekend for a good cause. They danced for 46 hours straight, no sitting or sleeping allowed from Friday night to Sunday afternoon. The annual dance-a-thon raised a record nearly $19 million for families battling childhood cancer. A great reason to dance. All right, next on the CBS Weekend News, a final thought on chance from CBS's Seth Doan at the Winter Games. But first, a look back at this day in history.
A group of young Americans took a giant step toward one gold medal in ice hockey. They astounded the experts by beating the veteran Soviet team 4-3.
Waves of future shock are rippling around the world today. This following word of the first living, breathing clone of an adult mammal. And the U.S. government today acknowledged one of the biggest espionage cases in American history.
Finally here tonight, the Milano Cortina Winter Olympics came to a spectacular close in a historic Roman amphitheater in Verona, Italy. CBS's Seth Doan in Cortina covered all 19 days of the competition and reflects on its impact. Seth, good evening.
Good evening, Tom. Whenever 90-ish countries come together, politics can filter in. But we kept hearing from fans how these games offer the chance to hit pause, to have our focus pulled beyond our national borders and the demands of our daily lives. While there's attention paid to the scores and the medals, there is another factor which came up today, talking with newly minted gold medal bobsledder Ilana Myers-Taylor. You got gold by 0.04 of a second. That's like you could have blinked your eye and it could have been different.
You know, 0.04 of a second, you could think of so many different things, like even a kilogram underweight, a different placement, your head a little bit lower in the sled. There's so many different ways you can think of to come up with 0.04, and the fact that it all came together and the clock was in my favor was really cool.
So for all the preparation, that other factor is a degree of chance, a force as familiar as it is uncontrollable, and one we can all relate to. Tom, these past weeks have given us a shared moment spoken in the universal language of sport, a rare, inspirational experience where we can come together in wonder and awe.
The true meaning of the games. And that's the CBS Weekend News for this Sunday. I'm Tom Hanson in New York. Good night.